Hello viewers, welcome to a lecture series on CSR. Today I am going to have a discussion on a very pertinent and very significant issue of planetary bargain, and this is basically going to be a series on labor, employment and CSR, and it is going to be part 1 of my lectures on the need for a planetary bargain. When I say planetary bargain, we are actually living on a planet and working according to our own stream, according to our own role, which whatever we have been assigned with. And the question comes how to bargain, the kind of negotiation we are making as a stakeholder in a business environment in which we are operating. So that is a point which comes in front of us as a point of discussion, and this the point of planetary bargain I have taken from the discussion made by Professor Michael Hopkins, who is basically working globally on this very area of CSR, and the way he tried to put his opinion on the term planetary bargain and the way we are making a negotiation as a stakeholder. So I'll be first telling you about the reasons for CSR gaining significance, why it is gaining so much of significance, why it is so much of sought after topic as of now when we talk about business environment, what is expected from business enterprise and what business expects not only at national level but also at international level. What is the line of limit when we talk about expectations? We all know that expectations always hurt. Once you expect from someone and the person is not performing as per your expectations, you feel very bad, you feel dissatisfied, you have some concern that I have expected from some company or from some employee, and the employee or company is not operating as per my expectations. So once the expectations are not fulfilled, we feel cheated at times, we feel hurt. But the question comes, what is the line of limit? Who is responsible? Only it is a responsibility of business only, or even the government is also responsible, or the other parties they do have some responsibilities. And then we'll be ending with the prisoner's dilemma and the way out. What is the way out when we talk about such type of discussions? So let us start our discussion with the significant reason for CSR gaining significance. CSR has gained significance because of different factors. And I would say that it is because once we are getting more and more civilized and educated in real sense, we start thinking of acting responsibly. We cannot think of acting responsibly unless we are educated in true sense, unless we are having that sense of responsibility towards other people with whom I am living, with whom I am operating, with whom I am working. So if you ask me as a teacher, what is my individual opinion, why CSR is gaining significance or importance, I would assign only one reason to this, that since we are getting educated, we are being more and more civilized. So we have started understanding the concerns, the magnitude of such problems which are being faced by our society. But amid all other reasons which are listed by different stakeholders, one of the very significant reason is the hot list of today's business agenda is the link to one of the most important stakeholders, that is labor, and more particularly labor standards. So CSR is gaining significance because we have started thinking of our workforce also. We have our own workers, we have our own labor standards, and since workers are contributing to the manufacturing process of any business enterprise, it is our duty to take care of their concerns also. So the two main actors in such type of bargain are two important entities. One is government, another is business. So the two main actors in such a bargain are governments and businesses. There are of course many other actors. I am not denying to the fact that there are other factors also, there are other actors also which exist and which are operating. But yes, these two actors, government and business, they are regarded as the key actors in this field. And globally, if we look at the governments, they are not always the best to represent their own societies, especially in some developing countries. If we look, they are not at their best in representing their own societies. Although apart from all this, if a planetary bargain is to come about to promote CSR, the lead will have to come jointly from both the entities. I would say it is not the sole responsibility of business enterprise. It is basically a collective responsibility. I would say it is collective social responsibility. There are different explanations to such acronym of CSR. Some people say it is corporate social responsibility, some people say it is collective social responsibility, and that would be a very apt explanation to this acronym, that it is leading to have though these companies, the government, the company, the other organizations, they have to come jointly for the benefit of the society. So I would say that the first two segments of my lecture, I am going to set the parameters of what each could expect from each other. In this very lecture, I have tried to decide that in first two segments I will be telling you about the parameters of what each could expect from the others. So what government or people expect from business in the area of social responsibility and social development, that I am going to tell you. What the government is expecting, what people expect from a company, from a business, when we talk about the CSR. Although I would say that perhaps the word expect is too strong, it is too expecting, because companies, their main objective is to create profit. Their objective is not to act responsibly primarily. If you ask me about the prime motive of any business enterprise, I cannot say that their motive is to act responsibly. The first and the foremost motive is to create profit, because they can't survive without profit. So we can say that every expectation must be linked to their business case in one way or the other. If I want company to act responsibly, so whatever concern, whatever expectations I have, those expectations should lead to at least the destination of creating profit, and it should not be at the cost of profit. So whatever company is doing, directly or indirectly, their concern should be to make profit. So I am going to provide you a tentative list of expectations from the company. What expectations we as a stakeholder or the government, it is going to have from the company. The first expectation is profitability. It is at the top, because it is something which is going to motivate companies also. So the first motive is that companies should be profitable. Unless they are profitable, they cannot contribute to the welfare of the society. So the first and the foremost point is profitability. The second is adherence to an appropriate set of good corporate governance principles. That is, if we talk about the OECD principles of corporate governance, as far as the governance mechanism is concerned, that is something which we expect from a company. We want a company to be a company which is having a legacy of abiding rules and regulations. It should be a law-abiding company. It should not be a company which is defying the laws. We want a company, we want a business enterprise to adhere to the appropriate set of good corporate governance principle, because that is the second expectations which we are having from the company. So even if a company is ensuring that their corporate governance is strong, that too is one way in one way or the other, that is going to suffice the very purpose that they are working as per our expectations. The next is tax contribution. This is something which is expected by the government, that they should contribute by the payment of taxes on time, and as per rules and regulations they should pay taxes, because that is for the betterment of society in which we live. So because whatever tax they are paying, based on that only, with that tax amount only, the government runs different plans and programs for its own citizens. Long-term view of investment and profitability is another expectation from the company by the stakeholders. So we want to have a long-term view of investment and profitability by the company. Company should have that vision of investment and profitability. They should invest wisely, and the venture should be profitable. The next is environment friendly production process. So the production process which they are following, that should be eco-friendly. So while operating as a factory, as a unit, as a business enterprise, they should not cause any harm to the environment. Their entire process, the production process, need to be eco-friendly. That is another set of expectation from the company. They should have socially responsible products. They should not produce any such product which is not socially responsible. So if you look at the list, starting from the profitability to abiding rules and regulations, paying taxes, investing profitably, investing wisely, being eco-friendly, being socially responsible, having the code of ethics for your company operations, and the list is very comprehensive. And apart from all other points, my major concern is the company should have a comprehensive CSR policy. This is something which we expect when we look at the company from the perspective of CSR. It should have a comprehensive CSR policy. Having said comprehensive CSR policy, I wish to indicate towards the following points. I need to have the positive answer to the following questions. The first question is, does the company have a social responsibility policy? If answer is yes, the company is having comprehensive CSR policy. So does the company have a social responsibility policy or SR policy? If answer is yes, it is good. Is the policy backed by, the second question is the policy backed by suitable resources and organization? For instance, whether you perform a social audit or not. So you have a good policy, but it is not backed by a suitable resources and the organized manner, the organized policy to implement it, then there is no point having a CSR policy. So the second question is, it should be backed by the suitable resources and organizations. The next question, does the company have a management system for social responsibility? Do you have a proper management mechanism, proper system for taking care of this very act of CSR, that is social responsibility? The answer has to be yes. If it is yes, it means you are having comprehensive CSR policy. The next question is, what is the social responsibility network in the company? Do you have a social responsibility network in your company? Is there someone to implement the policy? Do you have some designated officer to implement the policy, or it is only on paper? So this question is very important and significant, that there has to be someone to implement the policy. The next question is, what social responsibility communications does the company have? So what kind of, when it comes to communicate that social responsibility, do you have the social responsibility communications by your company? If do you have any system for that? What social responsibility training does the company have? Whether you train your employees for acting responsibly, whether you train your workers to act responsibly, whether you train your officers to act responsibly, that is another question. So the point here is that in order to ensure that you have a comprehensive CSR policy, you should have a positive answer to these questions, and you should have a local community support where your plants are located. Wherever you are working, there has to be a support from the local people who are actually called as local community or the local people. So that is another expectation from a company. If you ask me that what is expected from a company should ensure that they have a local community support wherever they have their own plants, they establish their own plants. They should have a philanthropic contributions also. They should take care of the philanthropic concerns also. They should avoid any type of corrupt practices, because once a company starts behaving in a or indulging into those corrupt practices, what happens, that actually multiplies, and that is going to have a negative impact not only in the operations of the company but also on the society as a whole. So that would become a hurdle in the path of getting civilized and getting educated in true sense. Good conditions of work for employees is another expectation. High proportion of the workforce in the regular protected employment, that is another concern. And if you ask me, depending on the concerns of different stakeholders, this list can be very, very, very long, and it should be endless. But yes, of course, I'm giving you some of the pertinent ones, some of the important ones which comes in front of us time and again. Internally, they should have internally flexible labor practices. They should have they should not follow any kind of discrimination in recruitment and advancement policy. There should be non-discriminating recruitment and advancement policy when it comes to recruitment and promotions. There has to be a skill upgrading programs conducted either internally or externally by the company. Labor involved in discussions of the structural change. If you are going to make any change in your structure, the labor need to be involved because they are one of the important stakeholders. If my company is planning for any kind of structural changes, if my company is planning for any relocation of plant, or we are going to close our business enterprise, or the company is going for any kind of downsizing, they need to have a discussion with their stakeholders, and especially the laborers. So there has to be an explicit procedure to help employees retrain and relocate in case of downsizing. That we have already discussed when I was telling you about the enterprise restructuring and CSR. So there we had a detailed discussion on this very point. But yes, when we talk about the expectations from a company, in the list of expectations, this is also accounted for as one of the important expectations. The company should have open accounting procedures for shareholders and disclosures of relevant information for public at large when it comes to their accounting procedures. They need to support for the social investment funds. They should support to enhance small scale savings and credit. They should have a transfer of technology as a management skill with them. And there has to be a regular reporting of CSR progress, including key performance indicators, whatever KPIs you have generated for your CSR progress that need to be identified. So when I was telling you about this list of expectations, and at the top it was written it is a tentative list of expectations, it is not the final one, you must be thinking that how much expectation we have from the company, from the business enterprise. That apart from doing your own business, although we say that business of business is to do business only, but apart from that business, or while doing that business activity, these are the minimum number of responsibilities which a company has to perform, because they have to actually live up to the expectations of all the stakeholders. And my dear learners, this is actually being exercised by the companies which are operating in different countries. So we should have a very deep sense of gratitude or respect towards business enterprises, because apart from doing their business operations, or while doing their business operations, they have lot many things to do. They take care of so many things. If I take the example of any ideal company, so we should have that sense of gratitude or deep sense of respect towards such corporate entities which are taking care of all these concerns which we have offered as a list of expectations from a company. But the question comes, what is the line of limit between the public and private entities? What are the limits? Where do state social obligations and corporate obligations begin? This is a point of debate for very long time. This has been a point of debate for very long, and this subject has received an enormous amount of attention. And the debate of where to put the line between the private and public, this question that where to put the line between the private and public, it goes on dominating much of the world's political debate. So if we look at apart from talking about taking it as a in place of taking it as a social debate, the global social debate, it has actually taken a color of politics into it, and we take it as a world political debate, that where to put the line between the private and public entities. So where do state social obligations and corporate obligations begin? This is a question which is time and again not only asked by the business enterprise, but also the government entities. They are also the leaders, the political leaders. They very quite often they ask about it. So now the question comes, what to do? It is accepted by the political leaders globally that government does have the active role to play. And if you take example of India as a country, we are basically a welfare economy where the welfare of society is the prime motive of the government. Government is not doing any work with the profit motive. So globally the leaders have, apart from India, even globally the leaders they have started accepting that they have huge responsibility. They have n number of roles to play. And one cannot expect the private sector to do everything, to be everywhere making profits out of, for instance, looking after war veterans. That of course that is not their objective. If they are contributing, it is always welcome, but we cannot expect this from them. And here comes the role of the government, here comes the role of the political leaders. So there is a direct role for government in a caring society where the private sector cannot reach. So wherever the private sector is not able to reach, the government should be there to support. Before I go into telling you about the line of limit, let me share with you my opinion on this. I would say that in place of considering themselves to be competitive in nature, they should consider themselves to be complementary in nature. So wherever the government is not able to reach, private sector should do, and vice versa. If private sector is not able to perform, government should take the responsibility. So and that is the way, that is the way the government and private entity, they should work in a caring society. That is the real example of a caring society. Now the question is how to answer. What is the way out? There is no easy answer to this question, where to put the line between the public and private interventions, particularly because of the relative roles are changing, and rapidly in some cases they are changing. So what is becoming clear here is that business is assuming the mantle of social programs that only in rare cases would it have considered previously. So now the business has taken the increasing role of have taken the role of acting responsibly in a very increasing manner, and that was never before kind of scenario which we are witnessing right now. The key difference at the conceptual level is that the government is nationwide, whereas the private entities, they may not have their operations nationwide or statewide. So government commitment to providing social security is nationwide, statewide, whereas the company's commitment extends only as far as its key stakeholders. As a company, I can take care of my stakeholders, but I cannot go to those people who are not even my customers. So this is the key difference. If you ask me about putting the line between the public and private, I would say that they should act as complementary to each other in place of being competitive, or we should not assume them to be competitor to each other. Rather, they should act as a complementary to each other. So I would say that the government's commitment is nationwide or statewide, whereas the company's commitment is confined to its stakeholders only. So what is the need? What is the requirement? The requirement is that there is also the issue of the commons, that is the aspects of the world that are essentially free for all. The air we are breathing, the water in the sea, the sunlight which we are getting, the unknown land which is there. So these are something which are called as the issues of the commons, so that we are not paying anything for that, and that it is our prime role, or you can say it is our duty to ensure that whatever nature has gifted us, whatever we have inherited from our forefathers, at least we should leave the resources in the same manner to our coming generation. So as more and more companies, they are making use of all these free resources, clearly the new rules to prevent their depletion or destruction need to be concluded and implemented. I would say that since we all are using those resources, so we cannot deny to the fact that since everybody is using those resources, it is our role, it is our duty to stop them from depleting or devastating. So we should ensure that they are preserved, they are basically protected. Now coming to the opinion of a person who is continuously working in the field of CSR, and the name of that professor is Professor Michael Hopkins. What he says on planetary bargain, that I would like to quote here. So he said, and I quote, that he is considering the planetary bargain was a need for more social responsibility on the part of the enterprise. It was his opinion that corporate entities or business enterprises, they have greater role to play. What was not considered in any detail was where it should stop. He is of opinion that the point which we did not consider is that in detail, that where to stop. What are the limits that nobody knows? What are the boundaries of enterprise responsibility that is not defined? And these questions will be for the stakeholders of companies to decide in the future. So even the researchers, they are of opinion that we are no one to answer that questions. Let the stakeholder decide. In the future, according to the requirement, according to the need, they would decide that where to stop. So when we talk about planetary bargain, I would say that depending on the requirement, depending on the conditions which the society is going to witness in years to come, there would be a line between the public and private enterprise. The division of work would automatically be done, and I would say it would be done naturally, in an obvious manner. We don't need any law for that. We don't need any hard and fast rule for that. So what should business, now the question comes, second side part of the question of the story is, what should business expect from government in return? If my company is operating with a greater social responsibility, what my company should expect from government? Because we should not stop by simply saying that this is our expectation from the company. So the first question is that the responsibility of government is also there, society is also there to take care of companies' concern. So they reasonably expect from the government in return for their own best practices into social responsibility. And what they expect is a financial services company, if you ask me, that will be less concerned with the export quotas on coal than an extractive industry, if I take example. So according to your industry, your expectation is going to differ. So companies will expect different things from international bodies as opposed to national governments, and it will vary from industry to industry. So at national level, the common expectations I am sharing, they need a stable environment which ensures open markets for responsible behavior. Every company wants that there has to be a stable environment which ensures open markets. They want a secure legal framework and completely functional independent enforcement institutions. They want non-corrupt, transparent, competent, streamlined administrative framework. This is something which a company expects, which a corporate entity expects from a government. They expect a clear investment policy and plans by the government. They want incentives for new investment and for domestic investment and savings. They want repatriation of profits and foreign currency, that whatever profit I have earned, if I wish to repatriate to my home country, then I should have that right to do so. I want a flexible labor code from the government. I want a democratic practice when it comes to the government contribution. We want no forced labor. Clearly defined rules of operations, one-stop information bureau for new and existing investors, independent tribunal to adjudicate on disputes, fair local banking practices. And to conclude, I would say we want a free and fair governance when it comes to the company's operations. And at global level, they want the ILO is the main agency which influences labor laws, but it cannot implement these laws. So they want that the global rules and regulations must be implemented. So with this, I would conclude that what company expects from the government is fair and open rules for trading, independent international body to arbitrate disputes. They want accurate and available information on investment possibilities. So if we wish that companies should operate responsibly, then government will also have to take responsibility of ensuring fairness and democracy in their operations, in their rules and in implementation of their rules and regulations. So with this, my dear learners, I tried to put in front of you what do we mean by the term planetary bargain and the way the corporate entity and the other stakeholders they negotiate. So I hope that you must have enjoyed today's discourse on this very topic. I hope you must have learned something out of this discussion, which is very pertinent and which is very timely also. So with this, I am ending today's lecture of mine. See you again with another piece of thought on CSR. Thank you so much.